Part 29. Exploring the World, starting from the discovery of the White Bone Dragon Pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 281. By Vuchang, this broken sentence almost made me burp. This is so outrageous. How can there be such outrageous things in the world? Isn't this wrong? I am God. 6, but I didn't watch it. As for the fact that there is a sword stuck on top of Nantianmen, I have the following 6 points to say. Oh, I see, that's what it is. Indeed, I was a little confused at first, but now I understand a little bit. Riddler, get out of Baidu. Yeshi put down his hand pointing upward and sighed. I really didn't expect that the phantom of the immortal sword we saw when we were in the immortal pond turned out to be the phantom of this immortal killing sword. I wonder how a shadow can still have such a strong fairy spirit. I just don't know why it was inserted on top of Nantianmen. Could it be that the war in heaven has something to do with the owner of the immortal killing sword? Is it the leader of Tongtian? Some people raised such doubts. Yeshi was surprised when he saw this barrage. You dare to say this? I can feel it even when you say my name, let alone this kind of existence. Not bad, it's the first time I've seen such a stubborn person. Tactical death, myself. After Yeshi made a joke, the people in the live broadcast room became obviously more cautious. Although he had the idea of playing tricks on them, the most important thing was because what he said was true. It's just that they called him by the wrong name, not the Tongtian cult master, but the Supreme Purity Lingbao Tianzun. Thinking of this, Yeshi felt that the mystery about heaven became more and more confusing. When he lifted his steps and walked forward, he saw wind and clouds surging inside and outside the Nantian gate. Yeshi seemed to hear the sound of a whale from ancient times. The magnificence of Nantianmen is indeed far beyond my imagination. But the thing that exceeded my expectations the most is the sword above. Ignoring these for now, why do I feel like there is something flying behind Nantianmen? Why don't you leave it alone? I also want to hear from Yeshen why this immortal killing sword appears here. Because brother, you are an alien and you don't understand how big this thing is. Tai Shanglajun, the killing intent of the Xuxian sword is now exposed, so it is right not to touch it. Besides, the owner of the sword is not dead yet. Of course, Yeshi chose to skip the Xuxian sword not for any other reason, but just because he was more cautious. After all, he has been extremely cautious since the first time he went to the White Bone Dragon Pond to explore the secrets, but now he is just back to the beginning. What does this have to do with the King Lingbao Tianzun? There is no relationship. Yeshi did not watch the live broadcast room anymore, but walked straight through Nantianmen. Okay, we have finished watching Nantianmen. In fact, the most important thing is not Nantianmen, but what comes after it. I have always wanted to know what is behind Nantianmen, and what are the origins of those remnants of heavenly court. Now. Yeshi raised his head and glanced at the sky. We are about to unveil all this mystery. The Xuxian sword was still stuck on the Nantian gate. Yeshi did not choose to touch it. He even pointed at the location without even introducing it. Because this thing is really outrageous. Just when Yeshi passed through the Nantian gate, he only heard the sound of rippling waves, and there was a faint light shining on the sword of the immortal killing sword. It seemed to be stuck directly on the Nantian gate, but when the waves rippled, countless fairy spirits were wailing in pain, and an illusory and real world appeared, just like a fairy world was buried under its sword. Ding, huge energy fluctuations have been detected, host please pay attention. When Yeshi heard this voice, he felt something was wrong. When had the system ever reminded him of such an insignificant thing? I didn't see that even if the planet of beasts was about to explode, there was still no warning. So Yeshi reacted in an instant. What exactly was the system reminding? He suddenly looked back, and this glance shocked Yeshi, who had experienced many magical things. All I could see was that under the immortal killing sword, the sea of blood was surging into the sky, and the Nantian gate had been shrouded in the rich blood. It was impossible to see the original material. Countless immortals were nailed to the immortal killing sword and nailed to the Nantian gate. The stench of decay came from their bodies. The thick blood fell on the clouds drop by drop, dyeing the clouds into a colorful cloud. It was not only very beautiful, but also very strange. Everything was completely different from what he had seen before. It was like two worlds, and Yeshi knew where the huge energy fluctuation came from the moment he turned his head. It is the slightly trembling immortal killing sword. The sword energy stretches millions of miles, travels through time and space, and wants to split the sky into pieces. Yeshi's body moved, and his whole body showed a stiff posture. He looked at the withered Nantian gate, and the heavenly soldiers and generals who were supposed to be guarding here appeared. I saw only dozens of Tian marshals on both sides, leaning on the pillars and holding banners, and around a dozen golden armored gods, holding halberds, whips, and swords. They look mighty, but in fact, they look like stone. Although their armor is still lifelike and motionless, their eyes are like golden light, as if they still have gods. However, the most frightening thing is that the blood shed by the immortals nailed to the south gate of heaven by the Xuxian sword all fell on these golden armored gods and martial Zhentian. Their faces were also stained with black blood, and the stone statues were stained with blood. The black blood soaked the inside of the stone statues. The rumbling sound of heartbeats rang out crazily. These sounds came from the heavenly soldiers and generals guarding the south gate of heaven. People who saw the scene would not think that these people were gods from heaven, but demons from the abyss. And what they were guarding was not heaven, but the place behind them was actually the abyss. Yeshi's scalp was numb, and his heart was about to explode when he saw all this in front of him. When he just walked by, he didn't notice the abnormality at all. Is this another overlap of two dimensions? System, the energy you just told me about is the change of this renewed Nantianman. Ding, yes, a huge energy fluctuation that swept across a dimension. This is one of the battlefields. Yeshi took a deep breath and then exhaled. Turning his head, he looked at the very surprised people over there. Yeshi frowned and looked at the live broadcast room, then stretched his brows, and directly switched the camera to the back. Since the poor Taoist died, the Taoist friend should also die. Me. Grass. Yeshi felt an emotion coming from the live broadcast room. He closed his eyes and felt very happy to feel the collapse of the crowd, and even raised a happy smile on his face. Sure enough, according to the law of conservation of energy, the smile will not disappear out of thin air, it will only transfer from their faces to my face. Cool. Yeshi turned the camera back again, and then walked forward. At the same time, his slightly happy voice came over. How about it, are you satisfied with what you see? Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 282. Satisfied, satisfied, you big-headed ghost, we I am gone, I am really gone this time. You, are, really, hate, us, ah. General live broadcast room, wow ha 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 ha, a famous Yeshen live broadcast room, woo. Why is it always me who gets hurt? I cried. Baiduli's hija, I am satisfied, I am so satisfied. Living king of hell, how come I am still alive, how come I am alive again? Ye manly. Yeshi looked at the live broadcast room and said with a smile. What's wrong? Let you feel a different Nantianman. Are you very excited and comfortable now? You're welcome. My other last name is Lei. I am God, thank you my uncle, I thank my grandfather and his 18 generations of ancestors. Although I know that the scene just now was very exciting, don't get too excited. Bai Vuchain, I'm not excited, but we may not have the king of hell anymore, he is alive, and this time he is really alive. Such a rare scene, even if you want to see it again in the future, you can't do it? Take a look at it now. Yashi said as he walked forward. He didn't even glance back. It was the people watching the live broadcast who were in pain, and they directly covered a part of the computer screen. By the way, Tongzi, you said before, this is one of the battlefields. Does this mean that the battlefield is still going on? Ding, the war has never ended. Yashi nodded, fully affirming that he didn't have the courage to go up and take the Xuxian sword, otherwise he would probably be killed. He was very confident, but this kind of confidence was unnecessary when facing one of the three pure ones. Don't be surprised by the Nantianman we just saw. Because that is what the Nantianman really looks like. I didn't notice it when I walked by before, and only later did I sense a huge energy and realize that the Nantianman we saw was not real. This scene is very familiar, it is the overlap of two dimensions. Some people should be able to think of the two completely different scenes we saw when we explored Mars, right? In fact, these two are fundamentally very similar. If you don't understand, watch it again, I won't explain too much here. Are you so lazy? Tais Hanglajun, this war is still going on, they have turned into stones and are still thinking about fighting every day. Alas, can't we learn from it and watch the live broadcast together? It's so good to explore, this is life. Tomcat, ears erect. Yashi didn't want to explain too much about what happened there just now. First, he didn't know what happened. Second, it was too dangerous. Yashi had walked out of the south gate of heaven for a long time, but he still reached the end. As for the remnants of the heavenly court, he didn't see any hair. But the sound of the whale that seemed to be there and not there became more and more obvious. But when he looked around, he didn't find any whales at all, only a vast expanse of space. What is Yeshen looking for? As I said before, remnants of the heavenly court, I can see that you are not watching the live broadcast seriously. I will reward you with watching the new south gate of heaven 100 times. Yunran is me. Golden hair shell, looking for a whale. Didn't you hear the sound of the whale? Although it's not very obvious, in such a quiet environment, anyone can hear it, right? Yunran is me. Yes, she was indeed looking for a whale. It's not surprising that some people can hear the sound of whales. The only thing is that this golden hair shell can actually hear it. This was indeed a bit beyond his expectations. Although Jinmobe could guess many things before, that was below mortals. If the spiritual perception was too high, it could indeed perceive this kind of reality. But now, he has reached the heavenly realm, how can this person still feel it? Yes, she thought about it, looked at this ID, followed the ID to see the Milky Way, then looked from the Milky Way to the solar system, and from the solar system to a place in the blue star dragon kingdom. This is a small temple. And there stands a statue of Ilong inside. The statue is not made on an assembly line, but is carved out by hand one stroke at a time. There is a temple keeper squatting inside the small temple. The temple keeper is watching the live broadcast on his computer at this time. In the live broadcast room is Yeshi looking at the camera. Wow, they really built a temple. No wonder. This golden-haired clam really conforms to the changes in the world and has already been assigned a place to become an immortal. Tisk, if people knew about it, how many people would be jealous to death? After taking a few glances, Yeshi understood why the golden-haired clam could still sense things in the heaven. It's very simple. He already has a place to become an immortal, but he doesn't know what kind of immortal he will become. According to normal time, it would take tens of thousands of years to become an immortal, but in this era of dragons and snakes, it is estimated that it will take thousands of years to become an immortal. Not bad. Hey, how long did it take me to become an immortal? Yeshi suddenly thought of himself. Ding, less than a year. Yeshi retracted his gaze. Then he said, yes, I do want to find a whale, but I don't know whether this thing is a whale or not. I actually heard a whale-like cry when I was standing at the south gate of heaven. The further you go inside, the clearer the cry becomes, but I haven't found where the other party is yet. Why didn't I hear it? Xuanhuan, sure enough, the live broadcast room is full of monsters. It seems that I am the only loser. Yunren is me, it's okay, touch it, we are brothers shoulder to shoulder, both losers. Xuanhuan, get out of here, you are worthy, climb. Yunren is me. Yeshi couldn't help laughing when he saw the comments in the live broadcast room. At the same time, he continued to walk inside. And now, the whale-like sound has become louder and louder, so loud that even ordinary people in the live broadcast room can clearly perceive it. Oh my god, there really is a whale, I heard it too. Where did the fish come from in the sky? It's not Kunpeng. It should be a creature similar to the sound of a whale. Kick the doorframe, this is not necessarily true. You are measuring the world with the eyes of a mortal again. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Hai. Chapter 283. It seems that as the distance gets closer, the sounds that ordinary people could not hear at the beginning can be heard, and Yeshi's perception of this kind of ethereal creature is even stronger. They seem to be in this space, but they seem to be in another space, transmitting the sound across countless distances. Yeshi moved his feet, walked in the nebula, occasionally listened attentively, and caught the sound of the whale in the sky. About 10 minutes later, the shadow of Nantianmen could no longer be seen in the live broadcast room. According to the scope of Shengsu, it should have come to the mountains now. However, there is no trace of those things here, only the sea of sky. And the ethereal and ancient sound coming from the sea of sky. This ancient sound, when it sounded, seemed to really drag people into such an unknown time. In that period of time, the heaven was still above it. There was not only the sea on the ground, but also the sea in the sky. All life was actually bred from the ocean in the sky and finally came to the underground. In the peaceful vitality, the sea of clouds was hidden, and the huge wind lifted up the huge clouds. It turned out that this was not a cloud, but a bird wandering in the sea of clouds, or the sound of the whale that Yeshi and his friends had heard before. The bird raised its head and swallowed all the clouds around it while inhaling. After exhaling, it spit out white clouds all over the sky. Riding on the clouds and mist, the fairy spirit was overwhelming. A bird flew through the clouds without any malice, and it seemed that this kind of life did not carry any malice in the world at all. It was like a small fish that could be seen everywhere, ignoring the people passing by on the shore. And the role that Yeshi was playing now was the person on the shore. Kicking the doorframe, it really is, not a fish. It is beyond reason and expectation, it is actually a bird flying instead of a fish. Is this a specialty of heaven? Yeshi looked up at the bird. They are made of clouds, no wonder they have never been found before. Some people may not understand if I say that. Yeshi paused. Do you remember the dragon cloud image of the immortal in the sky when I came out of the white bone dragon pond? That is the well-known image of the sky hanging. And the bird we see now, if we still look up from the perspective of the human world, I am afraid we will see clouds piled together, and then form a misty cloud bird. However, when we stand here and look, we will really see this image of the bird. It's just that there were only clouds before, and there was no sky hanging image. Yeshi said, stood up and flew over, and landed on the bird. This bird seemed to have its own mind, tilted its head to look at Yeshi, and then trembled all over, and the wings formed by the clouds that covered the sky and the sun flapped with a bang, bringing strong winds and big clouds. Ang. Just after a sound similar to the cry of a whale, this group of birds made of pure white clouds underwent a strange change. as if the hand of fate touched it out of thin air. The misty cloud gradually retracted its wings, and then slowly changed its appearance, turning into a whale. The vast sound resounded in the live broadcast room. The cloud whale took Yeshi and leaped into the sky in the clouds. I am being petty, right? Who said birds can't be fish? Now there are clouds, birds, and fish. Wow, wow, I am really wow. It looks like it is really going to fly to the sky. Yeshi sensed it before speaking. His voice seemed very ethereal in the clouds and strong wind. This is a specialty of the heavenly court. It was originally a bird that flew aimlessly in the clouds, but because it has been exposed to the immortal spirit in the heavenly court for a long time, it likes the immortal spirit of the immortal very much. Over time, they have another form. If you land on it now, it will change into a life similar to Kun. So-called, the immortal touches my head, ties my hair and grants me immortality, that's it? Yeshi put his hand on the head of the cloud whale, and then there was another whale sound mixed with excitement. This is how Li Bai's poem came about. Maybe Li Bai also rode on this whale in the sky. It's not impossible, it's even very likely. Wait, I didn't say the most important thing, where are you going, brother yet? Yeshi retracted his gaze from the distance. The strong wind blew, but it didn't blow away the shape of the cloud whale. He only heard a distant voice. I haven't finished yet. This bird is very friendly with the immortals in the heaven because of the influence of the immortal spirit, so if it is classified according to the tool, it should be considered a very high-end means of transportation. So, this fish and this bird are going to take me to a place. But there is no place to go in the fallen heaven. It is estimated that in this area of the heavenly ruins, except for the south gate of heaven, there is only one place that is relatively well preserved. So, Yeshi pointed to the heavenly palace in front of him, which was floating in the sky and earth, and said, we are going to that place. Xuanhuan Palace. When? Just then, a bell rang. Yeshi rode the cloud whale and landed in front of the Xuanhuan Palace, followed by a cute little white tiger. The cloud whale lowered its head slightly, and after feeling Yeshi stroking its head again and sending out a few strands of air, it spread out and turned into a bird, returning to the clouds again. And Yeshi also landed on this palace hanging over an unknown place. If it weren't for this bird leading the way for me, I'm afraid it would take me a while to find this place. Although the heaven has fallen, it doesn't mean it's completely finished. Yeshi said this, and walked inside with a smile. How do you know the name of this palace? This is not the south gate of heaven, there is no word on it. Tais Hanglajun, there are words, how could the palace of the heaven have no words? Boss, you are really that boss, right? I thought someone was deceiving me before, but now I realize that I was just being stupid. Tomcat, hee, I have also been to those planets with the remnants of the heavenly court. I just wanted to trade with them, but who knew that these people were so arrogant and even more outrageous than those behemoths? They beat me out directly. Oh, what a pity. Yunran is me, Xuanhuan Palace. I searched Beidou for a long time and only found a name. I don't know anything else. May I ask all the bosses, which god's palace is this? Qian Li Buletin Lucing, Neza. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 284. When Yeshi walked towards Xuanhuan Palace, he also looked at the live broadcast room. Originally, he didn't expect any normal comments, but, damn Neza. Bai Vuchain, which book did you look up? How come I don't know? Kinlibuliaxing, ahem, it's in the game. Yeshi was really speechless looking at these stupid netizens. No, the Xuanhuan Palace is not the Neza you mentioned. What on earth are you thinking? You can think of this. Yeshi shook his head. When the heavenly court was still there, there should have been a less familiar god living here. One of the three officials. Water official relieve evil. Water official emperor. But now, it's not this emperor who lives here, but the survivors of the heavenly court after the fall. Yashi stood in front of the Xuanhuan palace. From here, he could still see the appearance of the palace. He sighed. Why did they all run away? Do I look so hateful? Ha 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 ha. Did they really all run away? Why do they have to run away? Aren't the survivors of the heavenly court supposed to be immortals? Kick the doorframe, yes, yes, use your pig brain to think about it, brother. Yeah, as an immortal, can fight from the south gate of heaven. Why are these survivors of the heavenly court still guarding the Xuanhuan palace? Is it because they don't want to go out? Yashi touched his chin helplessly. It should be that they sensed the clouds and strong winds brought by the bird, so they sensed my arrival and ran away in advance. He walked into the Xuanhuan palace and took a look at the appearance of the palace. How to say it? It was a little miserable. Why are there cloud fruits in the fruit plate? What's wrong? You can't eat fruits after becoming an immortal, right? It's so funny, the stool over there seems to be made of clouds. This is really clean energy. Capitalists can't help but pay more for the lives of these survivors of the heavenly palace. Old unlucky people, now they don't even have a house to live in, and they can only live in the clouds in the future. Really eat wind and drink dew like these people. Yashi turned around a few times and found that the Xuanhuan palace was extremely cold and clean. Anyway, I didn't encounter any important treasures. I just saw a bunch of clouds, nothing else. Walking from the front hall to the back hall of Xuanhuan palace, Yashi only felt a little bit of life. Outside the palace, clouds rolled and unrolled, and several birds that were originally wandering in the sea of clouds also came over. Looking out from the courtyard, sometimes you can meet their eyes, which is quite interesting. None of these remnants of the heavenly court are immortals. They can't leave this palace. Yashi looked at the birds that seemed to be asking for rewards, and threw a few strands of immortal air out to feed these birds, and then said to the camera, "Not bad. I originally thought that these remnants of the heavenly court should be found at the end of the exploration, and I was thinking that I came to Xuanhuan Palace so quickly, which was a little boring. Now it's good. This piece of the palace is only this big, where can they hide?" Yashi smiled. Oh my god, this scene really feels like a villain boss. I'm starting to worry about the survivors of the heavenly court. The monster from Blue Star has landed on the Big Dipper. The cannibal demon king who cannot be mentioned is approaching the life-restricted area. The despicable Blue Star thief has entered the god's ruins. Yashi occupies the god's ruins. Yashen approaches the south gate of heaven. The Supreme Emperor of Heaven has arrived at his loyal Xuanhuan Palace today. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pian Hai. Chapter 285. These. Heavenly Remnant. Yashi hesitated for a while and decided to use the previous title. Actually, over the long years, they have become fine, some, utensils. When Yashi said this, his tone couldn't help but become a little weird. The person who said it thought it was strange, and the person who heard it also thought it was strange. I humming laughed to death. What kind of utensils? What the hell utensils? Yashen's live broadcast room is like this. You will never know what is hidden in it until the last second. I looked back at the place that Yashen mentioned and saw a trembling alchemy furnace. Alchemy furnace, this can all turn into essence. Tomcat, beating the bronze drum version. Purchase monsters at high prices. Click on the link, rightward arrow, to trade. I have everything here. If you meet a friend with great potential, I will also give you some small gifts. Come and join me trade it. I think so, but I have to go to Baidu Shengsu to catch some spirits before I can trade with you. Yashi looked at the gadgets that were still showing off, and with a wave of his hand, all the heavy clouds dispersed, revealing a dazzling furniture and fruit city. Ding, congratulations to the host. The exploration of the Baidu star map has improved by 36%. The overall progress is now 100%. Ding, congratulations to the host on the successful completion of this exploration. All the maps of the Baidu Star God ruins have been explored. Please check the corresponding maps on your own. Ding, congratulations to the host for unlocking the 5th puzzle piece of the Big Dipper. You will be rewarded with Fixu Lingpu X1, Biun T Set X30, Sun Eclipse Cauldron X1, Jade Bowl X3, Silver Ring Diagram X1, Yunzhou Pagoda X1, Glaze Cup X2, and the Big Dipper Map Fragments X3. Big Dipper Illustrated Book, Qianyuan Palace, Sun Eclipse Cauldron, Glazed Lamp. Qianyuan Palace, one of the 36 heavenly palaces in the heaven. It was originally the palace of Emperor Xuanhuan. Later, due to great changes in the heaven, almost all the immortals in the heaven disappeared, leaving only the silent heaven. After that, several wars took place in the heaven, causing the heavenly palace to fall, and even though it still has some of the heavenly palace's power, very little of it has dissipated, and only the formed spirits are left. Eclipse Sun Cauldron, it is an immortal treasure in Qianyuan Palace. It is not only used to refine treasures, but also to refine all the heavens and all things. It is a superior treasure cauldron. Before the fall of heaven, Emperor Xuanhuan often used this cauldron to cook food with 3 or 2 friends and share the creation. Now it has become a sleeping place for a remnant of heaven. Glaze Cup, a treasure used in myths and legends. It is a cup commonly used by the Queen Mother of the West. It has channeled spirits. The immortal liquid is inexhaustible all year round. It is inexhaustible and inexhaustible. The rest are all strange artifacts. They are full of spiritual energy and rarely have sanity. They are not good at cultivation, but they can assist in cultivation. Immortal objects can erase their new spiritual wisdom. When Yeshi stepped out of Qianyuan Palace, he heard the sound of the system dinging in his ears. This and the previous observations in the heavenly palace corroborate each other, making this even more certain. But I still want to complain. These things can be turned into spirits. No wonder a bunch of fire in Lejun's alchemy furnace can form a mountain of flames when it falls on the ground. Yes, I also saw the flame mountain and the banana fan that was sealed by a creature from this world. What a sin I have committed. When Yeshi thought of this, he thought of the treasures in Journey to the West, and instantly had nothing to say. At the moment when the clouds moved, these monsters also knew that they could no longer hide it, so they jumped out one by one. The leader turned out to be a grape spirit. Probably because it was a rare life existence here, its IQ was slightly higher than other spirits. At least it knew how to hide with these spirits. But now that it was discovered, all the other spirits were trembling, but it was the only one that actually spoke to Yeshi. Did the young master just become an immortal? Did heaven finally realize that Qianyuan Palace was missing, so I sent you, young master, to search everywhere and found this place? Are you taking us back? Then please tell me, young master. We didn't become sperms on purpose. But no one has come to Qianyuan Palace for a long time, so we became spirits. After the fall of heaven, I became a spirit out of necessity /. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 286. Let us warmly welcome Yeshen's summary of his speech. By the way, which bastard won our flat peach away, come out, I will never beat you to death. Virtuous Taoist priest, there are countless gods, it's me, the poor Taoist, he. Judging from the fact that I have watched the live broadcast for so long, none of the ids in the live broadcast room have the wrong name, so the person upstairs is really wicked. These monsters are so cute, I really want to take them away and keep them. Kicks the doorframe, then you are overthinking it. If you are below the level of an immortal, This teapot spout can kill you with just one mouthful. Don't wake me up when you're dreaming, thank you. Yeshi told these spirits what he already knew about the current situation in heaven. He originally expected to hear bursts of crying for father and mother. What I never expected was that. Yeah. Then young master, please take us away. You are also an immortal after all. Great, I was thinking about going back to heaven and being scolded by the great master. Now I don't have to worry about it. I can continue to make tea for myself. The grape spirit jumped up, then I don't have to be eaten. That's great. So filial piety. New planet, new filial son. Yeshi, okay. Since you have made these requests, I reluctantly agree. Does the young master have his own paradise? Please let us in quickly. We haven't seen other colors for a long time. They are all white clouds. Wow. As he was talking, one of the teacups actually started crying, probably because the tea was poured out. It just looked weird. In short, it was weird. So he waved his sleeves and took away all the monsters. Then he walked to the front of the alchemy furnace and started knocking. Get up. After knocking for a long time to no avail, Yeshi directly took out the heavenly pardon order Tiangong making token that he had obtained before, then placed it in front of Tiangong and shook it. While shouting to wake up Tiangong, Yeshi also did some popular science in the live broadcast room. This is the heavenly token I picked up from Mars. I can ask the heavenly craftsman to help me create something I want. I'll see if I can wake him up now. As expected. Tiangong, who seemed dead at first, suddenly woke up when he felt the breath of the token, and shouted in a loud voice. Ah, do you have another mission? If you have something that you can't take out, let me go. Why do you have all this stuff? What Doraemon? Do you understand what this token means? Anyway, I don't understand. I've never eaten pork and I've never seen a pig run away. After chatting with the only remaining heavenly worker, Yeshi learned a lot of news about heaven. You're saying that the fall of the heavenly palace was anticipated a long time ago, so all the immortals had left before the fall, but you fell with Xuanhuan palace just to get something back. Yeshi thought about what the other party said and nodded. Then you should know where this place is. After I came to this place that seemed to be isolated from the entire universe, I discovered that not only the universe and here cannot communicate with each other, but the laws of the world here are also completely different from the outside. In the entire world, or within a region, or within a small universe, not only are lifespans severely reduced, but ordinary people have no way to become immortals at all. As Yeshi's question came out, the entire live broadcast room could be said to be boiling like a pot of porridge, especially Baidu's eyewazards increased significantly. The million-year-old divers all ran out in an instant. A certain dark and turbulent emperor, I know that there is indeed a fairyland, but does the legendary fairyland point to where Yeshi is? Little Phoenix, I fell from the fairy world in the fairy world where I am, if nothing else, longevity is achievable, but isn't the problem lies in the matter of longevity? I am God, it's not some kind of immortal substance, maybe it's because the rules about lifespan have been taken away, which makes your world so weird even the most powerful person can only live for 10,000 years. 10,000 years, what kind of concept is this? This is something that we blue star people dare not even think about. If the Earth immortal could only live 10,000 years, he would have died long ago, and his ashes would have been raised, not to mention the chance of finding an immortal. It took 10,000 years just to find a place, and you here can only live 10,000 years, tut, this is not a deliberate weakening, I can't believe it. Keep talking, what happened in the universe on Baidu's side? If you still don't say anything, I will rush to Shengsu immediately to cause trouble for you. Yeshen, bad laugh version, come on, I've been wanting to catch someone to practice with for a long time, what are you waiting for? Tiangong glanced at Yeshi strangely. How do I know where this place is? There are too many places covered by the heaven. When I look at you, I feel like you have just become an immortal. If there is a mirror, I can still. He hasn't finished speaking yet. Yeshi took out a mirror and. There is no universal light mirror, but there is a demon mirror. Tiangong. Yeshi blinked his eyes. Oh, I got it wrong, it's a psychic mirror. Is this okay? Yeshi took out a mirror again. Tiangong. Wait a minute. Where did you get the magic mirror? You've just become an immortal and you're already so arrogant. You even have a magic mirror? This is something only the immortals have. This mirror is obviously for spiritual communication, but it's not that you can't see it. Wait for me to modify it. You even have a magic mirror. Tell me quickly that you're just here to travel in the human world. In fact, which big shot in heaven are you reincarnated? I don't believe it. I absolutely don't believe that you're immortal like me. This is impossible. After a while of tinkering with Tiangong, he actually came up with the ability to reflect the starry sky, but it requires a lot of materials. Unfortunately, Yeshi has all these materials. It was at this time that everyone suddenly realized that Yeshi was not a human. I want to make a statement for myself. I picked up these things during the adventure. It's not the weird and messy reasons you imagine. Yeshi was really speechless looking at those speculations that were galloping in his mind. After Tiangong took a look at this small universe of stars, he almost fainted again. Xuanhuan Palace has fallen to this place. Isn't this place the place of Tianzun? This place is very special. The immortals who came out of here are very powerful, but it seems that there are not many immortals who came out. Ah, this is Baidu, and Ziwei, it should correspond to the Zhoutian stars in the heaven. This place. There will be no abyss. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 287. Abyss, why is it related to the abyss again? We have been one family since ancient times. Tai Shanglajun, don't dare to say this nonsense. Tomcat, so, the lifespan lock here has something to do with the abyss. I used to think that the rules between the two places were different. I once visited a place where a great god made a commandment: no one should be more than 120 years old. Because of his golden words, all the long-lived and long-lived citizens in that place immediately collapsed. I am God, so outrageous. Can life or death really be determined by just one word? Kicks the doorframe, what do you think? When Yeshi heard Tiangong's words, he nodded thoughtfully. I understand. Tiangong looked at Yeshi with a surprised look on his face. What do you understand? I still don't understand anything. This world should be a place with severe partitions. Ordinary people cannot enter or leave. It should be said that they will never be able to leave in their lifetime unless they become immortals. But the rules here are really difficult to achieve, and it's almost impossible. By the way, tell me what you know. After Tiangong muttered a few words to himself, he seemed to have thought about this problem again, and then looked at Yeshi. Yeshi paused. Isn't this easy to understand? There is no way to become an immortal in this small universe, and there is no abyss. Doesn't that mean that abyss and Changxian are twins, either none or both? What planet-level understanding does Wak have? Can it still be understood this way? I saw that the bad old man's face had completely changed. His eyes were 3 points cold, 3 points disdainful and 7 points indifferent before, but now they are 99 points shocked. Dion, what Baidu fan diagram? Taoist priest wicked, so that's it. It turns out that the roots of Baidu are in this place. Doesn't this mean that if they move an abyss here, they can become immortals? Living king of hell, thumbs up, you know how to be the king of hell. Virtuous Taoist priest, smile, Chinjui, I am the lord of the underworld in my previous life. When the reason why he couldn't become an immortal was revealed so lightly. Those who had killed themselves squatted in the restricted area of life and were completely dumbfounded. You. Tiangong looked at Yeshi with a horrified expression. stuttered for a long time and finally said. What you said makes sense. How did you know? I wasted millions of years in the heaven, but I didn't discover such a simple thing. That's it, that's it? But it's wrong. Then why does heaven want to cut off all the passages to the abyss? And want to eliminate all the existence inside? Tiangong talked to himself for a while, but something he didn't understand appeared again, so he looked at Yeshi eagerly, expecting him to continue talking. Yeshi snorted. Because it's not that there's an abyss before there's an immortal, and it's not that there's an abyss before there's an abyss. Although I don't know what the relationship between these two is, but it is obvious that they are like Tai Chi Liang Yi. They exist independently and can be combined into Tai Chi. That's not right. Didn't I come to ask you questions? Why am I the one answering all the questions now? If I knew everything, why would I start the Starry Sky Ancient Road and go all the way to Baidu's Divine Ruins to find the ruins of heaven? I don't know anything. Yeshi frowned and glanced at Tiangong with disgust. I have often seen Yeshen picking up other people's wool, but what I didn't expect was that this time he was picked out. Tiangong, I know nothing except blacksmithing. Although Yeshi continued to ask a few questions, it was a pity that Tiangong was as deaf as he could not hear anything and had no answer. So Yeshi shrugged helplessly towards the live broadcast room. It seems I can't ask anything else. You don't even know as much as I do. Although I still don't know the relationship between the abyss and the heaven, it can be regarded as solving the biggest question about the Baidu universe. It's about why this place is completely inconsistent with the rest of the universe and why its lifespan is short. But unfortunately, there is no solution at the moment. Peng Wei, yes, as long as you leave this small universe. Yeshi saw this barrage and shook his head, which made many people who were wondering how to get Yeshi to take them out feel extremely cold. Unfortunately, there is a high probability that we will not be able to get out. Even if you take the Kowloon pulling coffin, there is no way you can cut off the broken path of the Starry Sky Ancient Road and get out. It's because I became an immortal that I could come in a 9-dragon coffin. If I hadn't become an immortal, I wouldn't be able to come in either. Sure enough, it is something similar to a secret realm or another universe left by the boss of heaven. It is like a paradox to the people inside. If you don't become an immortal, you can't get out, and you can't become an immortal inside. Speaking of this, Yeshi seemed to remember. A bit like Blue Star with proton lock technology. What proton locks is the upper limit of technology, while what is locked here is the upper limit of cultivation. The common point is that they all lock the future. Yeshi just said these words in a normal tone, but they made people's hair stand on end when they heard them. If before, the Baidu Star Territory and Ziwei Star Territory did not quite understand the technology or Tri-Solaran Territory mentioned by Blue Star people, then now the chill is from the solace of the feet to the Tianling cap. It's even colder than a zombie that's lived for thousands of years. Wangshu Saintess of the Big Dipper, locking the upper limit, so this is the upper limit. There are immortals in the world, but we can't do it. There are immortals in the world, but we can't do it. It's over. Many cultivators have their demons exploded and have gone astray. How did such a martial arts word appear in your fairy world? Kinlibulixing, I used to envy the immortal cultivators of the Big Dipper for a long time. Now it seems that we are happier. At least our upper limit is not locked. This is too scary. I thought it was a science fiction world, but it turned out to be science fiction shining into the fairy world. It's so cold that my bones are cold. This is not just locking the upper limit of a civilization, but locking the upper limit of all life in that place. ALA country, that place is a civilization. It's really scary when you think about it carefully. I'm scared. Who wouldn't be scared? Yeshi looked at the contents of the live broadcast room, and was annoyed by the Tiangong, who was mumbling to himself. He picked him up and threw him into the alchemy furnace, and finally packed up the alchemy furnace and took it away. It was also during this period of time that Countless old monsters and old men in the cultivation world either vomited blood, their hearts collapsed, or flew to the universe to find the 9 dragons pulling coffin. I didn't expect that this time to explore the mystery of Shengsu would go so fast. Yashi did not put away the classic Tiangongqianyun palace. He had not yet plucked the feathers of the geese. He just threw the few celestial birds behind the Nantianmen into his own world as decorations. It seems that our exploration this time is about to end again. Yashi waved at the camera. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pian Hai. Chapter 288. He just finished speaking. There was no abnormality in the divine ruins, but the Big Dipper and Ziwei stars were blown up. Of course, the explosion was considered serious. In fact, all the old monsters with residual blood hiding in the restricted area were born, and those hidden masters also appeared outside as if they didn't need money. The several star fields that are close to each other are like crabs in boiling water, with everyone crawling around in a lively manner. This is the first time I have seen such a spectacular sight. It turns out that Baidu's forbidden life area is full of such existences. No wonder the living are stopped. Let me go, the mythical, powerful person from before time immemorial, all are born. Ha 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 ha, you don't dare to call Tianzun now, do you? I saw the phoenix that the Baidu clan respected, and it was not dead yet. I saw a Taoist priest who looked very wicked. Damn, it was he who dug my ancestral grave. I used to think that Saint Baidu was already the highest, but now I realize that with great emperors everywhere, what a waste of the world. It turns out that none of these people died. They once wanted to become immortals. They heard that there is a road to immortality in Baidu. Now it seems that the road to immortality is actually the 9 dragons pulling the coffin. When Yashi saw this, he raised his eyebrows. This wave, actually closed. Is this the end of the world line? He thought of what he saw written by an unknown red-haired monster in his later life when he was on Earth in his previous life, and it strangely matched up with this. Because, in the previous life, pulling the coffin in the 9 dragons was indeed a path to becoming an immortal. Putting all this aside, Yashi had noticed that the majestic life energy was coming towards Shengsu, and whether the breath of life was coming towards Shengsu or him, Yashi also knew in his heart. It seems that these monks from Baidu have also seen my live broadcast room. Now, what do you want to do? Rub hands, etc., it's not a big deal to watch the excitement. Yashen, maybe you don't believe it, but I'm actually watching my own excitement, you know what I mean. Yashi did not fly away on the sky bird, because he had already taken away the sky birds. So Baihu suddenly had a higher sense of presence and was now carrying Yashi on his back towards Nantianmen. In fact, the white tiger is in a panic now. It doesn't really want to go back to Nantianmen. It would rather go to the sea and fight with the big octopus than go back. But there is no way. The white tiger's whole body became nervous, and he jumped and landed under the Nantian gate. It didn't dare to raise its head at all, but just rushed forward with its head covered. And above the Nantian gate, the immortal Zuding sword is still shining brightly. When Yashi came, he could feel the aura on this sword that wanted to kill all things. And, indeed, the war continues. After running down the mountain, Baihu finally calmed down and was no longer as scared as before. In the mountains, fairies are flying. There is a monster covered in red hair walking around inside, which looks particularly scary. Outside the sacred ruins, the purple air is thick and the clouds are vast for 30,000 miles. Although saints were not born, those great emperors who killed themselves were born. Before, when they were still in their prime, they were very stubborn. If you meet someone like Yashi, you will definitely attack him by force, catch him, and torture him to extract a confession. As for the consequences, you can imagine. But now, Yashi has become an immortal. Although they don't know what kind of universe it is outside and whether their combat power is very strong, they are still immortals. Some old monsters are filled with little juju in their hearts, wondering if they can be persuaded not to fight. Of course, the reason for not fighting is that we might not be able to fight. If they were sure they could win, they wouldn't hesitate here. At this moment, the busiest place in the entire Baidu is Shengsu, one of the restricted areas of life. Although some of them went after Kowloon to pull the coffin, but most people still choose to block the door directly. When Yeshi passed by, he took a look at Shen Gongbao's left leg and the place that seemed to be the eye of the North Sea. I still can't figure out why Bihaiyan was separated into different families. He previously thought that the remaining Bihai Sea eyes should be above the Nantianmen, but now it seems that whether they are still there or not is another matter in the entire small universe. When Yeshi was still thinking about the problem of Shen Gongbao and the Bihai Sea eye, the barrages in the live broadcast room started flowing like crazy, and it was impossible to see clearly what was being posted at a glance. But it had no impact on Yeshi. After a few casual glances, he knew that the barrage was reporting to him. But that's not important. Where did the other parts of Shen Gongbao's body go? If that's the case, wouldn't it mean that there are still a few immortals who are trapped under the mountain? Have their bodies been separated as well? And this Bihai, what place does it refer to? I wonder if I will have the opportunity to go to Bihai in the future. Maybe I can see the real Kunpeng, not just the stupid fish at home. Yeshi was thinking as he walked down. It could be said that all his thoughts were immersed in it. I am really convinced by this wave. What does it mean that the emperor is not anxious and the eunuch is anxious? Yeshen is really calm, as if he just came back from traveling. Hey, I think the Baidu historical figures encyclopedia we just made is useless. Kick the doorframe. Speechless, because there is no need to care, it has been emphasized so many times. Don't you understand how big the gap is between becoming an immortal and not becoming an immortal? Kill, kill, kill them all. A rabbit was holding a carrot and carrying a cloth bag, and the cloth bag was full of fresh carrots covered with mud. Its red eyes looked in the direction of Shengsu, took a bite every step, and then sent this barrage in the live broadcast room. I surrender. Whose rabbit is this? Why is it so violent? Legend has it that the demon tribe also has a rabbit. Is it this one? No, this rabbit wants to kill all the people in Baidu so much. Which emperor would want to kill all the people in Baidu? Yeshi connected all the information he had learned before, and combined it with the information obtained by Shengsu this time, but he still had a half understanding of the heavenly court. This time, he could only solve the doubts about the Baidu microcosm, but none of the questions about the heavenly court were answered. Not only that, but many more were added. Finally, they arrived at the foot of the mountain. Behu had been standing up since he left Nantianmen. Now he felt the strong breath of life outside. Not only was he not afraid, but he was full of energy. Boss, let me deal with these garbage outside. You don't have to do anything. Behu planned to show off his strength. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white-bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pian Hai. Chapter 289. By who? It doesn't matter, I will take action. You took action and got beaten up, right? These old monsters are not as easy to deal with as you think. It's not a big deal, it's just a pet anyway. That's not true. Even if the bull demon king comes, brother Ye will have to plow the ground for 2 years before he comes back. Yeshi lowered his head and glanced at the high-spirited white tiger, silently got off it, and then took 2 steps back. Okay, come on then. Roar. The white tiger responded with a roar. It shook its long hair and then stepped forward. The tiger's hooves stepped in the air, just 1 step away, and its body began to grow bigger and bigger. From twice the size of an ordinary tiger, it suddenly grew to hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of times. In the entire Eastern Territory, the sky is blocked by the back of the white tiger. The white tiger's head was facing those old monsters, and it was so ferocious that the appearance of this giant beast could be clearly seen from thousands of miles away. Although I knew that this white tiger was very big before, it was not obvious in terms of perception. Now that I compare it like this, I doubt that even the giant starry beasts mentioned by Tomcat can't compare with them in size. Tomcat, no, they are just weapons, they are completely different from real starry sky beasts. I saw only a golden light and purple air in front of me. It seemed that the Imperial soldiers were hanging in the air and hanging down thousands of auspicious energy, which reflected different colors on the land and sky. It just illuminates the white tiger's body with colorful colors, let alone other things. A faint glow was flowing in it, and Yeshi silently stepped back 3 steps and stood under an ancient tree, watching the show. "Why don't you start fighting yet?" His voice was calm, but his tone was full of interest. The white tiger was already eager to try, so he rushed forward with a bang. At this moment, everyone heard a sound like thunder from heaven and earth. "It's too much." I don't know which old monster said this. Yeshi didn't look over anyway, he just looked at the camera. Guess who wins this time? One is the top weapon hunter from another civilization, and the other is the top combat power in this small universe. This is equivalent to the collision of 2 different civilizations. See what is right and what is wrong. When Yeshi said this, he paused and continued. But basically there is no doubt that this big white cat is going to suffer. After all, one is just a weapon, and the other is a weapon and a person. No matter how you look at it, white tiger wants both. Pang Wei, although you may look down on this place because you learned the rules of this small universe, I still want to say, these old monsters are really not easy to deal with. I will make a patch, only for white tigers. Rumble. The world seemed to explode. While Yeshi was still chatting in the live broadcast room, the 2 sides started fighting. In fact, not many people took action at the first time, and they were not fools who didn't know who the most important enemy in front of them was. With an obvious Yeshi here, the weight of the white tiger will naturally not be too heavy. So they suffered a loss. I saw the tiger's palm slamming into the ground, and its body seemed to have tens of thousands of invisible energies circulating, all of which were concentrated in its upper palms. With a slap of the palm, the entire earth fell apart, even causing sea water to pour in, and the mountains on both sides also fell in pieces. However, this kind of damage was nothing more than that to the old monsters in front of them. Most of their minds were still focused on Yeshi. As a result, they saw Yeshi sitting in front of a stone table. He had melon seeds, peanuts, fertilizer, and water all prepared, and he was happily eating melon seeds there, which made them angry at the sight of him. The damage is not high, but it is extremely insulting. Although Yeshi was also eating melon seeds, he was also reading the summary of this trip to explore the secrets in Jiangsu. For example, in the 12D star map in front of you, the Big Dipper is rotating slowly, and most of the places are dark and dark. It is completely unclear what is inside. Only the Jiangsu area is a colorful and miniature Nantianmen. Yeshi slid his hand and positioned it on the small piece of spiritual spring, and then kept shrinking it until it was small enough that he could clearly see the section of the eye of the North Sea. At this time, from Yeshi's perspective, the eye of the North Sea was probably not 1,000th as big as the left leg of the Shengongbao. He thought for a while and continued to zoom in to see clearly what was happening in the North Sea through this small sea eye. Click click click. Yeshi continued to zoom in on the map, as if tearing a piece of paper, feeling overwhelmed, but he was not worried. He wasn't worried, the system directly warned him. Ding ding ding, the map cannot cross space to explore places that have not been explored before. Please try again later, host. When Yeshi heard this, he sighed with a little regret. It seems that the card bug has failed. However, he never thought he would succeed, so Yeshi looked up at the battlefield in front of him in anticipation. Because these old monsters really underestimated the enemy, several of them were injured by the white tiger. They lost face and did not become more ruthless. A purple light shot out. I don't know which old monster made the move. The divine light flashed and nailed the white tiger to death on the spot. The hair on its body also had some blood color. Although the big size makes the target big, but for the giant beast, the bigger the better, so the white tiger looked up to the sky and roared a few times. Roar, roar, roar. Its body is still getting bigger. This scene looks very much like the legendary law of heaven and earth, but the fundamental gap still exists, so the white tiger did not succeed. Instead, a large net made of divine crystal appeared in the sky, covering the huge body of the white tiger. Yeshi was still eating melons leisurely. He smiled slightly and felt the malice of the people in front of him that was about to overflow. Originally, he was still thinking that if these people retreated in the face of difficulties, he would not bother to care, but he didn't expect. Yeshi closed his eyes. He had already felt an old Yuan Shen appeared beside him, or rather, several old and decayed Yuan Shen emitting bursts of evil spirits came to his side. These people actually want to seize the body. They reached a consensus in a short time, wanting to keep Yeshi first, and use the soul to attack together, seize the body, and try to go to the outside world with the body outside the microcosm. I've said it all. The gap between immortals and mortals is like ascending to heaven. You don't want to find a way out by yourself, but you want to attack me. After Yeshi finished speaking with his eyes closed, he suddenly opened his eyes, and the divine light shone, reflecting the greedy souls around him. Clang! A divine sword emitting water appeared directly in front of everyone without anyone's driving. Just as the souls of these old monsters rushed towards Yeshi with greedy faces. Yeshi looked up at the sky. He blinked his eyes. Thunder! It's coming. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 290. Everyone thought that Yeshi would draw the sword, but he was the one who called out the sword, but little did they know that the sword had been following Yeshi like a shadow. He came out now not to draw his sword, but just to watch the fun like his master. I use the sword so often that I forget some thunder techniques. When Yeshi looked up at the sky, he said these words in a faint voice. On the battlefield over there, except for Baihu who was still concentrating on fighting, the other old monsters were all focused on Yeshi. Their hearts were surging, and they felt that as long as they took away the flesh shell of this outsider, they would definitely be able to leave this prison. But at this moment, a watery divine sword hung in the air, making their hearts tighten, thinking that the legendary immortal was going to take action against them. However, there was nothing, no energy fluctuation at all, only Yeshi's slightly raised head. He blinked. All I heard was a rumble of thunder, like the sky was shattering and the earth was shattering. This thunder had no roots and origins, as if it came from an infinite distance, carrying infinite power, and struck the ground like this. From the sky to the earth, this flash of thunder was simply more terrifying than 100,000 dense gunpowder. It also brought dark clouds and mountain fires, and the sky and the earth were darkened. Among the billowing dark clouds, it was like a thunder god from the heaven crashing down, thundering, carrying thousands of thunders, the void cracked, and lightning steamed up. The silver symbol flashed by, but you could feel the fairy spirit filling the sky. This is not only the power of thunder, but also the power of true immortals. The monstrous light came from the sky to the ground, and the thunder rushed down with murderous intent. Ah! What kind of fate is this? Is this Yanlei? Yeshi sat motionless on the spot, the thunder passed by his side, and the fierce brilliance made it impossible to look directly at him. My day! Kick the doorframe, I told you not to confront someone head-on after all, I was almost dead if I didn't confront anyone head on. If I hadn't reacted in time, I would have been the target of a slap in the face. Since joining Yeshen's live broadcast room, I see natural disasters every day. Don't get me wrong, the natural disaster I am referring to is Brother Ye. What a terrifying smell. I'm right next to the Shengsu. I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Brother upstairs, who are you? I am that weed that became a spirit. Those invisible villains have been blown away at this moment. I can't help but want to recite a poem. Yeshi stood up, stretched out his hand, and grabbed the white tiger who was being beaten. As for the other old monsters, it's not that they don't want to take action, but they can't. These old monsters in the forbidden area of life have become like candles in the wind after cutting themselves with a knife, and they have not absorbed enough blood to restore their essence. Most of them are in a semi-disabled state. But now, they can no longer maintain this semi-disabled state. It seemed that there was a strange power rule from the upper level of life that completely restricted their chances of taking action. It was also at this time that everyone discovered how big the gap between immortals and humans was. If you don't become an immortal, you will always be an ant, PFF. One of the old monsters vomited blood after saying these words, and his soul immediately shattered. Others looked at Yeshi with concern. It turns out that the gap in the world causes the upper limit of life to be so large. This world is a prison. But there is no possibility for us to escape from this prison. Some people went crazy on the spot. Impossible. I was once invincible. I was once invincible in the world. Another one is to improve his life as much as possible and restore it to its peak state. But at this time, a ray of immortal light passed by, and he had no ability to resist, and he collapsed directly. Yeshi recalled the thunder method of heaven and earth, chopped them clean, and then floated away. Oh my God, what kind of boss? Such a man of God was actually chatting with us calmly before. I can't believe it. All destroyed, all dead, great, there are many fewer competitors on the road to immortality. Wow, someone is trying to locate the coordinates of the universe where Yeshen came, and then gathered 10 imperial weapons to pave the way. Damn it, you are cruel. Tomcat, it's a pity that it won't succeed. I didn't split the thing in front of me at the beginning. How could you do it? In fact, I still can't figure out why the little Poseidon can pass by. This is wrong. Could it be that I didn't encounter that thing at the time, a coffin? The smart guys in the Bida restricted area all went after Zhulong to pull the coffin and split the road. Only the sand sculptures were still here blocking the door. I don't know what they were thinking. Ants can indeed kill elephants, but they can't kill dragons. Yeshi rode a white tiger and wandered into the sky. He looked at the camera, then took another look at the way those imperial soldiers shook the entire small universe, and clicked his tongue. Although this trip to Shengsu has ended, I feel that Baidu, or the planets in this small universe, still contain countless mysteries. But I don't want to stay too long on one planet for the time being. Originally I came here to look for traces of heaven, but unfortunately I still don't know why heaven wants to hunt down all the gods. But this time I learned a lot of unexpected information, and I also met long-lost old friends. Yeshi touched his chin when he said this. Then let's wait here and see if they can find a way out. It's impossible. First, they have to pull the 9 dragons coffin over before they can open the way. I can't open it like this. Yeshi looked at the live broadcast and gave them an idea. Thank you. The 9 dragons coffin has been chased by powerful people all the way. It's just that it hasn't been brought back yet, but it should be soon. 6. Brother Ye has been to so many places, but the Baidu world is still the most interesting. Yeshi sat on the white tiger and looked at it from a distance. His presence was so strong that no one could ignore him. But because the previous lesson was so tragic, no one was so full that they had to provoke an immortal in a world where immortality was not possible. What a pity. I finally understand why that unknown Tianzun chose to lock the path to immortality here. Yeshi looked at the live broadcast room and said so.